Blake Lively, America's sweetheart red carpet regular and box office star, now finds herself at the center of one of the most jaw-dropping legal controversies Hollywood has seen in years. And this isn't just celebrity gossip, according to legal analysts, including the widely followed at tabloids. This situation has spiraled beyond a civil dispute and into dangerous legal territory. For weeks, the headlines have swirled around a high-profile defamation case between Blake Lively and director Justin Baldoni. But something changed recently, something that turned this case from a standard Hollywood lawsuit into what some believe could become a full-blown criminal investigation. Deleted messages, leaked emails, allegations of witness tampering, and now legal experts are seriously asking, could Blake Lively actually face jail time? It sounds unbelievable, but the facts emerging from this case tell a much darker, far more complicated story than anyone could have predicted. This is no longer about who said what in a tabloid article. This is about whether a celebrity with immense power and influence crossed a legal line, manipulated the process, and interfered with justice itself. And here's what makes this case so wild. It all started quietly, a few filings, a few statements, and then boom, the court began demanding documents that Blake's team allegedly couldn't provide. Suddenly, rumors of deleted communications exploded online. Screenshots appeared, time-stamped texts were leaked. Witnesses hinted that they'd been pressured not to cooperate. And just like that, Blake Lively's legal strategy went from strong defense to total silence. Why would her entire PR machine go quiet at the height of media scrutiny? Why are Hollywood allies distancing themselves, and why did the judge overseeing the case just demand a sworn explanation under oath about missing data? These aren't coincidences. These are signs that something isn't right behind the scenes. And legal minds like at tabloids are connecting the dots, revealing how seemingly small actions like deleting a message or pushing an NDA can actually lead to major legal consequences when done under the wrong circumstances. In this video, we're breaking it all down: what the leaked messages really say, what the judge has already warned Blake's team about, why prosecutors could soon take interest, and most importantly, what happens if the civil case turns criminal. We'll also dive into the latest reaction from Hollywood, what Blake's silence truly means, and whether this could be the moment where one of the most powerful women in the industry faces something no one saw coming: real accountability. Because in 2025, the cameras never stop rolling, even in the courtroom. The drama surrounding Blake Lively has now taken a shocking turn. What started as a high-profile civil legal dispute is now brushing up against something far more serious. With new filings, court appearances, and leaked documents making headlines, some legal analysts, including popular legal content creator at tabloids, are now seriously questioning whether Blake Lively's legal missteps could carry criminal consequences. Could this really send her to jail? At the heart of this controversy lies the increasingly hostile legal war between Blake Lively and actor-director Justin Baldoni. Originally, the matter was confined to defamation claims and behind-the-scenes power struggles over the Wayfarer media deal. But as more documents and evidence emerged, a disturbing pattern began to form. It's not just about PR tactics anymore now. It's about alleged interference, possible obstruction, and the mishandling of evidence. We begin with what triggered the escalation. According to reports from early court filings, Lively's legal team allegedly sought to suppress communications, including text messages and emails between Blake and several high-level individuals, including executives and possible third-party witnesses. The effort to quash or conceal these materials drew heavy criticism, with the presiding judge pushing back strongly against what he called procedural overreach. But what at tabloids pointed out, and what many casual observers missed, is how the mechanics of that suppression effort raise larger legal questions. When a party is found to be intentionally hiding evidence, especially after receiving legal notice to preserve it, it's no longer just a civil matter. That potentially becomes spoliation of evidence, and if proven deliberate, could rise to criminal obstruction of justice, a felony in many jurisdictions. Legal commentators have latched onto this. In a recent video breakdown at tabloids dissected one of the supplemental filings submitted by Baldoni's team. This filing included metadata timelines of digital messages that were allegedly deleted after a preservation order. If those deletions are proven intentional, or if someone acted on Blake's behalf to delete them, that could expose her to serious legal jeopardy. Moreover, there's the question of witness manipulation. According to recently leaked transcripts from a confidential deposition, one witness claimed they were pressured to withdraw cooperation from Baldoni's legal team if such behavior can be tied directly to Blake or her representatives. That opens the door to allegations of witness tampering, yet another criminally chargeable offense. Of course, all of this is speculation until official investigations begin. If they ever do, but the public scrutiny is intensifying. Every headline, every leaked text message, and every court transcript feeds into a growing perception. This is not just a Hollywood feud anymore, this could become a matter for prosecutors. At Federal, Ted LeWire emphasized one key point: public figures aren't above the law. And when high-profile individuals try to use their influence to shield themselves from legal responsibility, it often backfires spectacularly. We've seen it time and time again, from political figures to tech moguls, and yes, even celebrities. If prosecutors see enough smoke, they will look for fire. And while Blake Lively is still presumed innocent and is currently facing no criminal charges, the court of public opinion is already buzzing. The big question is no longer if something went wrong, but how deep this goes, and whether anyone in her circle might flip, cooperate, or leak further. So what happens next? The answer may lie in a forthcoming hearing scheduled for next month. The judge has already ordered additional disclosures from Blake's legal team and will soon rule on whether certain digital materials must be turned over in full. If that ruling goes against her, and if further deletions are discovered, the case could escalate dramatically. The court of public opinion was already on edge, but when the leaked messages hit social media, everything changed. What had been whispers and speculation suddenly turned into digital receipts. And not just vague references, but real-time stamped messages involving Blake Lively, her legal team, and several individuals tied to the Wayfair media deal. And the question on everyone's mind: did Blake Lively cross a legal line? We begin with the Bombshell leak. A series of screenshots circulated online, posted anonymously at first, then verified through Discovery filings that appear to show Blake directly referencing an effort to handle potential testimony from an individual described only as a swing piece. According to legal analysts, including at Federal Ted LeWire, this term likely refers to a witness who could tip the balance in the case. In one message, Blake allegedly wrote, "We can't let that go public. Not now, see if they'll take the NDA." It's unclear whether this NDA, non-disclosure agreement, was ever offered or signed, but the intent behind the message raised eyebrows across the legal community. If true, this could signal an effort to interfere with witness participation. And that's where the lines between legal strategy and obstruction of justice begin to blur. At Federal, Ted LeWire pointed out a crucial legal distinction in his commentary: offering an NDA itself isn't illegal, but if an NDA is used to suppress testimony in a legal proceeding or to discourage cooperation with the court, it can be seen as witness tampering, a serious crime. The implications go beyond PR strategy or Hollywood damage control. We're talking about a scenario where celebrity influence could be weaponized to block transparency and accountability in a court of law. And then came the second message, arguably more damning. This one, allegedly from a burner phone, referenced a conversation about scrubbing messages that had already been flagged by Baldoni's legal team. The message reads, "The logs need to be wiped before the next demand. I don't care how." If attributed to Blake or her inner circle, this could be devastating. This message ties directly into the claims of spoliation of evidence that were raised in Part 1. Digital forensics can often recover deleted messages, especially if backups exist, or if third-party cloud services were involved, and that's exactly what appears to be happening. According to reports, a subpoena issued to a cloud storage provider may have uncovered archived messages that contradict Blake's team's earlier statements. The judge presiding over the case has already noted inconsistencies in the timeline of disclosures. And while no ruling has been made suggesting criminal conduct, the repeated judicial warnings about compliance failures hint that something deeper may be unfolding behind the scenes. Legal experts who reviewed these developments, including at Federal, Ted LeWire, stressed that courts are extremely cautious about moving civil cases into criminal territory. But they also note that when the integrity of the legal process is threatened, when parties appear to be actively undermining discovery, that threshold can be crossed quickly, especially when the person in question is a public figure with vast resources and influence. It's not just lawyers who are reacting. Even some of Blake's industry allies have reportedly started backing away. One major media outlet noted that several former collaborators declined to comment on the case, and a well-known publicist who previously represented both Blake and Ryan Reynolds has quietly stepped aside. There's also the growing sentiment that Blake's legal strategy may be working against her. Instead of de-escalating, it appears her team has opted to fight every subpoena, resist disclosures, and push aggressive counterclaims, all while the court is growing increasingly impatient. The aggressive stance, once seen as a power play, is now being interpreted by some as defensive maneuvering that could signal fear of exposure. And that brings us to a major turning point. During a procedural hearing last week, the judge ordered an evidentiary review, which will require Blake's team to present under oath a detailed explanation of their digital evidence handling process. This is a highly unusual move in a civil defamation case, but the court made it clear trust has been eroded. This is the moment legal observers have been waiting for. If discrepancies are found in sworn declarations, if timelines don't match, or explanations fail to justify missing communications, the judge could refer the matter for criminal review. That referral would then land on the desk of a district attorney who would have to decide whether there is enough cause to open a formal investigation. At Ted LeWire explained in detail how this could work. What's happening here isn't just about celebrity drama, it's about whether one party is manipulating the legal process. And if the court finds that evidence was destroyed, concealed, or tampered with intentionally, they won't just let that slide. So where does that leave Blake Lively right now? She remains a defendant in a civil case. She's not charged with any crime, but every move she makes is now being watched more closely than ever before. And in the age of digital evidence, the truth tends to surface, whether willingly or through subpoenas. As the legal case spiraled deeper into controversy, something shifted behind the scenes. And this time it wasn't in the courtroom. It was in the court of public opinion. What had once been a tightly controlled PR operation around Blake Lively began to show cracks. And those cracks have widened into full-blown silence. For a celebrity who has carefully curated her image for over a decade, the sudden change in tone was noticeable. No more red carpet appearances, no more smiling Instagram posts, no public statements, just silence. And in today's media landscape, silence speaks volumes. According to sources close to her management team, there was an internal strategy overhaul shortly after the second round of leaked text messages. This wasn't just about weathering a rough news cycle, it was about mitigating long-term damage. Several insiders told reporters off the record that legal advisors had begun taking precedence over PR reps. That's a big deal. It signals that Blake's camp is no longer thinking about public image. They're thinking about legal survival. At Ted LeWire weighed in on this transition in a recent live stream, noting that a celebrity going quiet is often the first sign that their lawyers are in control, not their publicists. That usually means one thing: they're trying to avoid making a mistake that could be used against them in court. The timing couldn't be more telling. This media silence coincided almost exactly with the judge's order for Blake's legal team to provide a sworn explanation regarding deleted messages. In most cases, publicists will fight to get ahead of bad press, to shape a narrative, to offer exclusive interviews or carefully worded statements. But in this case, the strategy has been to pull back entirely, to avoid saying anything at all that might later be discoverable or subpoenaed. The public reaction has been equally revealing. Across social media platforms, fans and critics alike are split. Some believe Blake is being unfairly targeted by a media frenzy, while others feel that the silence speaks for itself and not in a good way. And then there's the Hollywood angle. Multiple celebrities who previously worked with Blake, including A-list directors and high-profile actors, have begun distancing themselves, whether overtly or subtly. For example, one major director who collaborated with her on a successful project declined to comment when asked about the controversy. Another industry peer quietly untagged Blake from several collaborative posts on social media. It's a soft form of separation, but one that doesn't go unnoticed in an industry obsessed with optics. Even more telling, a recent leaked email, reportedly from someone inside a prominent talent agency, shows that a client was advised to pause any potential projects involving Blake Lively until the legal situation stabilizes. That's not a rumor, that's a tangible consequence of reputational risk in the entertainment business. And here's where it gets even more complicated. PR experts say the silence from Blake's side may be causing more harm than good, especially as Baldoni's team has been incredibly disciplined in managing the narrative. Justin Baldoni hasn't made many public statements himself, but his legal filings are being echoed loudly in the press. His team's discipline and clarity stand in sharp contrast to Blake's sudden disappearance from the conversation. Meanwhile, legal influencers like at Ted LeWire have been able to fill the vacuum. With no official voice defending her side of the story, the internet is doing what it does best: drawing conclusions based on what isn't being said. Every quiet court appearance, every missed opportunity to clarify, every no comment, they all add to the growing suspicion that something is being hidden. The implications of this silence are far-reaching. First, it affects the jury pool if the case ever moves into a criminal investigation. While the legal system is designed to be impartial, the truth is that public perception does seep into legal decisions, especially when high-profile names are involved. If prosecutors believe a case is strong enough, they might be influenced by how the public would perceive their actions. And Blake's silence could be interpreted as a vulnerability. Second, it affects potential allies. As this case unfolds, others in the entertainment industry are asking themselves, do I want to be aligned with someone who may be facing deeper legal exposure? That hesitation alone could tank projects, endorsements, and even long-term professional relationships. And third, it affects strategy. If Blake's team is truly hiding behind silence because they're concerned about legal exposure, then that speaks volumes about the real risks she might be facing, not PR risks, not social media backlash, but real tangible legal consequences. @TheTedLawire in a recent video said something that really stuck with viewers at this point. It's not just about whether she wins or loses the case. It's about whether her actions or her team's actions have already crossed a line. That puts her in legal danger, and if that's the case, then silence isn't strength, it's a warning. As the dust settles for now and we look back at the shocking revelations, legal filings, and deafening silence surrounding Blake Lively, one question looms larger than all the rest: could this really send Blake Lively to jail? The short answer, not yet. But the long answer, it's far more complicated and far more serious than anyone expected. When this all began, Blake Lively currently faces no criminal charges. She remains entangled in a high-stakes civil case centered around defamation, media contracts, and allegations of sabotage between powerful Hollywood players. But as @TheTedLawire carefully laid out, the facts emerging from discovery witness testimony, and especially those damning leaked communications, are revealing patterns that raise red flags in the legal world. We're talking about possible spoliation of evidence, potential witness tampering, deleted messages after preservation orders, and most damaging of all, clear signs of obstruction. If the courts decide those acts were intentional and coordinated, what's happening in Blake's case isn't isolated. We've seen similar moments where public figures thinking they were immune from consequences overreached and were held accountable. Think of Martha Stewart's obstruction case. Think of Lori Loughlin. Public figures have gone from red carpets to courtroom consequences in the blink of an eye. What starts as a civil proceeding can escalate into something criminal when it involves deception, manipulation, or interference with the judicial process. But Blake's silence right now is perhaps the most telling piece of the puzzle. The PR machine has stopped. Her inner circle has reportedly thinned. Her industry partners are going quiet. Even some of her former defenders have refused to speak. And when a celebrity this visible goes completely silent, it's rarely without cause. If any of these actions, deleted messages, pressure on witnesses, misleading statements, are proven to be coordinated from within her camp, prosecutors may not need to think twice. Because in the eyes of the law, obstruction doesn't care if you're famous, it only cares whether you interfered. What happens next? That decision may rest with two groups: the judge presiding over the current discovery process, and potentially a district attorney watching from the sidelines. If evidence of obstruction or witness manipulation is undeniable, it may lead to referrals. If not, Blake may walk away with her reputation bruised but legally intact. Still, this entire scandal will likely change how celebrity legal teams operate. No longer can public figures assume their digital footprints are untouchable. No longer can NDA letters and PR silence fix what subpoenas uncover. And in Blake Lively's case, even if jail isn't in her immediate future, the spotlight she once courted is now casting a very different shadow. So could Blake Lively go to jail? Not today. But if the facts keep aligning the way they are, it's no longer unthinkable. It's just a matter of what's revealed next.